Hey guys, Dean here. On the next episode of this Dean versus the WPT GTO trainer series, we're going to have a big blind 4x 3 bet versus a button open, and then the button will call. So this will be a very common spot you're found in when you 3 bet from the big blind and your 3 bet ends up getting flatted by the button. So let's jump right into it. All right, ace 6-4 with this. I feel like it wants us to. I feel like a lot of the time it likes to range bet here just because it's ace high. But I think we could just check because our hand is plays so much better as a check, and we don't want to inflate the pot. So I'll check, see what it likes. It checks about a third of the time. Bets about that small bet, like I was talking about, or 2/3 of the time. We didn't lose any EV. This is pretty much telling us we did something wrong when we lose EV, but we didn't lose any yet. So either option is completely fine. We're going to call, like we should always, and then we're going to check. I don't think we should lead out here ever. It's never leading out. Now he's going to go ahead and bet pretty big again. The problem is if we do call, it's going to be very tough for us to call a big river bet. And because of that and how aggressive our opponent's been, not really that many draws he could have. I don't know if 7-5 is in their range. Another cool thing with the WPTs, you can check people's ranges. They are not having any 7-5s or anything in their range. You can see this is the buttons range, this is the big blinds range. These are the inputs the solver is using before while it gets to, or before the flop. So I definitely think that this is going to be pretty value skewed. And I definitely think we can just fold. No, it likes calling. Half the time it would fold there, and half the time it would call. We didn't lose that much EV either way. So we can't always be folding there, but and the ideal action is the call, but we definitely should be folding there almost half the time. Now, this is another spot where I'm just like, what do I do? Because I have a gut shot, and I think I can fold out some overcards, but I beat those hands anyway. But out of position, I don't mind the hand ending right now. Problem is, there's a lot of semi-bluffs, not that many in the sense that there are a lot of flush draws, so perhaps our bet here is not going to get raised super often. I think we're going to have a hand that would prefer just betting big and hoping to take down the pot. Usually when they have hands like this, it's kind of just miss. Although ace high has some showdown value, especially in 3-bet pots. Like ace 6 offsuit doesn't really have that much, and we at least have a good gut shot that's almost certainly going to be good. So if we bet big here, I'm not sure what some of their gut shots are going to do, but we can definitely get some bigger hands to fold, and even possibly some smaller pairs as well. So I think betting big here is completely fine. It's definitely what I would do in game for the most part, depending on the villain, obviously. It is a pretty middling connected board, but I think it probably wants us to bet big, which it does. Do get called 3, 4, 5, 6. I usually count on my hand to see if I have a straight. So we have a 4 with straight, so now we have an open ender. And the fact that we have an open ender means I really feel like we should bet again, and we're kind of turning our hand into a big bluff. We will have some better bluffs, I think, in the flush draws, but as far as straights go, this is our best bluff, and we do block the nuts being 6-7. He will have 6-7 suited in his range. So I think we should just barrel here again. It likes jamming. So it liked the more aggressive line. So this is pretty much never played. It really just liked jamming there, or I'm imagining. Apparently it's always jammed. So I didn't think it was going to be that aggressive of a line. But I would never have played it that aggressive. That is what the GTO solver wanted. And you can see we lost a big chunk of EV there, so these smaller sizings weren't cutting it. Don't really know what's going to fold if I just jam here, so I'm just going to check just because I want to see his hand. You see, we're not even lose any EV or anything. It's always nice to see what our opponent could have here. He's going to have 2 pair. Okay. I wonder if that hand would have called a jam. It probably would have. This is another spot where I think we just bet small for the most part. Yep. Probably is a mix between betting small and checking. The 9 of hearts here, I think this is going to be a check back. It can be tough for us to double barrel. We are ahead of very few holdings. Always likes to check. It doesn't go too crazy double barreling by any means. Now with the ace, we could get some smaller pairs to, or some bigger pairs to fold. Pocket eights, pocket tens, pocket eights, pocket tens, pocket sevens. Not really that many other hands, so I don't know. We can get some of the. We don't care about the smaller pocket pairs. We can get. I can think of like 3 hands we can get to fold with a big bet here. So I don't really think this hand is worth doing it since we have at least some showdown value. Yep, it just likes to check, and pocket eights wins. This is a hand we could have possibly gotten to fold, but again, the solver thinks more in ranges and less in the actual outcome of the hand, just like you should. Alright, this is a range bet. I am positive of it. No, I'm wrong. This is just a check with my specific holding. Just like that. See, the solver is very brutal. It'll just... I thought at that point, if I was playing, I would always bet there. Again, I usually go half pot at 3-bet pots. This is a hand that has to be a range bet, right? Yep. Play 60% of the time. King Jack. I think this is going to be another bet small opportunity. Could just be a check here. I could see it definitely checking some portion of the time. Could be a bigger bet, but we do block King Queen, and we do block some of the flush draws. So it's going to be a little bit harder for them to call us with those types of hands. So I think just betting small and trying to get smaller pairs to call. The other argument is that all the pairs are going to call, so if we bet big, we get the most value. These types of boards tend to be for the bigger sizing. I think I'm going to try that. Definitely get into some pretty sticky spots, though. I'm going to go small. I'm really torn between the small and big sizing. I'm going to try the small sizing. It definitely could like the bigger sizing. Apparently, it probably is a pretty even split between the big and small sizing. With a hand that can pretty comfortably call a float here, I think we should be adding this to our floating range. I think we should just check call. Not too much value. Oh, it likes to bet 60% of the time, but it also likes to check 40%. So now I think we just want to block bet. Don't really know how many hands are going to bluff, so I think just blocking makes the most sense. Yep, it's what it likes. Get a call from worse hand. Nice. Not too much value to be got from a bigger bet, so just blocking and hoping not to get raised is what we want there. It's what the solver did most of the time, at least. These kinds of boards and 3-bet pots, I just like to bet big and pray it works. These are the hands that we have no equity in. And these sometimes the solver likes to give up these hands. I would always bet big here and try to fold. People usually overfold at my stakes though, and obviously a GTO robot is not going to overfold. So it might just like the check back here. It does like the big bet sizing. Doesn't even do it the most of the time, but it is the preferred option. Now I think we just bet small. We also can work these really small aces into our delayed C-bet range, as we don't really want to go 3 streets of values. We want to get 2 streets of value from a middling to small ace. So it's pretty close. It does this 1/3 of the time, checks 2/3. We lost a little bit of equity, but it's definitely still in our repertoire. Now I think we just want to check back, and I think this is a good candidate just to call. I'm not super concerned. Check. Check. I think this is just a check call. This seems like a really good bluff catcher hand. Check. Oh, likes the bet. Now he just decides to go for pot here, though, which is putting us in a really terrible situation. It's like Queen 10 would no longer be in this hand. Queen 9's not in the defending range. I'm almost positive of it. Nope, Queen 9 suited's in there. You never know. Not a hand I would defend a 4x 3-bet with, but solvers are solvers. So I know the solver, you'd be surprised how nitty it can be, but it definitely does like to defend, especially after we double check and kind of induce a bluff. We're going to be doing this with a lot of our give-ups, for sure. And I think we need to have some hands that want to call with, and we're not going to have that many stronger hands than this. So I think it might want us to call. What hands do I even beat? King Jack beats us. That hand would never call, though. On the flop, I don't think. Maybe it would. I doubt it. I don't really see that much we beat. It could just be like pocket 6s, pocket 7s, pocket 8s, just blast in here, trying to get an ace to fold. I think we just want to fold, but I'm going to try calling, at least just for the stream. I think the solver might... I would always fold in this spot, by the way. If this was like in my stakes versus a regular opponent versus an actual human. But versus a robot, a GTO wizard, if you will, this could definitely be a call. And I'm going to think this is probably going to be one of the better hands in our range. So I guess we have to hero call sometimes. We only have to be right 1 and 2 times. Just to make some money. Nope, always likes to fold. I can't believe it plays ace-queen like that. So we flop a straight, right? These are the type of hands I think it might like us to bet big to help balance. And this is a typical spot where I think betting big is what the solver would usually do. So I'm gonna bet big. It likes this play. It plays this 25% of the time. So yeah, see, in the ace-3 example, the solver does get nitty sometimes. You'd be surprised how often it doesn't, just wants to call down. But we definitely can make mistakes. It's a really tough thing to learn, solvers, trust me. Alright, so this kind of board, I think it's probably going to benefit from a small bet. Bigger bets, I don't think are going to get a desired result. Although a bigger bet might be... Yeah, it plays this about half the time. It probably checks or makes a bigger sizing some portion of the time, too. Definitely think a small bet's good here as well. Pretty much half and half between a small bet and a big bet. Now I think we just want to bet for some more value. It might be wanting to use this hand as a check, to add this hand to our checking range, just because we don't really want to get raised, and the board's getting wetter and wetter. We don't block any of the draws, though. I think with a hand like ace-queen, though, we can definitely try to get some value. Yep. Half pot is what it likes. This is another board where we can't really win. We want to get like some ace highs to fold. Not too much of his range. He's going to fold here. But even getting some other hands like this to fold, getting all the ace highs to fold is probably a pretty good win. So I think just betting big is what it wants to do. Yep, that's what it does. Board pairs, and now I think the gig is up. I don't think we want to be betting again. It just wants to check and give up. Unless I hit a king, I don't. We don't ever win at showdown, but I don't think we ever should bet here. Yeah, it always likes us just to give up at this spot, at this point. Small board, ace high. We'd have no gut shot. We do have a backdoor draw. Definitely think this is probably a bet. But bet small enough, all overcards might come along. Not something we really like. I think this is just checking because we don't really get that much worse to fold by betting. Yeah, it likes to check about half the time. Now, I definitely think we could either raise or call here. It's probably going to do both at either frequency. We're gonna check our sets sometimes here, but check raising, I don't know how many hands we have in our repertoire. We probably want a little bit stronger of a hand or stronger of a draw if we were to do that. We at least want to have at least a gut shot or an actual flush draw rather than a just backdoor. Board pairs, I think we just check to them. We could bet out here. I could see it doing that sometimes. Never does. Against the double bet, I think we just want to fold now. Even on the board pairs, nothing really crazy has happened. I think a lot of his hands would have just given up if they didn't have anything decent. So I think this is a good spot just to fold. It folds about half the time, probably calls about half the time. Pretty typical stuff. Don't think this hand wants any nonsense. Any bet. It's not really like any overcards. I don't know. I think this might just be a check. Just because we're not really scared of overcards, because like the only overcards that aren't already beating our hand has the nut straight in Queen Jack. So, I mean, we're kind of scared of hands like, you know, Jack 9, Queen 9, but there's not really that many of them. So mostly we're just going to fold out hands that are worse than us and get called by hands that are better. So I think checking here makes the most sense. Nope, it just likes betting ginormous, which I can kind of, I guess I can understand. I mean, I never imagined we're going to get called by worse, but our hands isn't really that great at showdown here either. So I think we just want to continue with our play of checking. Yep. I'm going to continue with our line. The jack comes off. Any queen has a straight, but again, there's not that many queens here that will play this way. And yeah, he just has a king 5. We could have definitely put a lot of pressure on that hand, but it didn't like us checking there on the flop. It liked that bigger sizing for reasons I don't really understand. Alright, I'm going to do 2 more hands. So this hand and 1 more. This, I think, is just another spot where it wants us to bet big and just hope they don't have a hand that can continue. We at least have a backdoor draw. No, but I actually prefer the smaller sizing. I can't really understand why, though. We don't really play that. It doesn't really play that well when we get called, and we get called a lot. I think this is going to be a smaller sizing, though. Could be a bigger one. Yep. It is just giving opportunity for worse hands to call. Ace 5. I think you can definitely check or bet small here. I'm going to go for the small bet. Only likes playing this about 10% of the time. Definitely lost some equity there. We get called now with the flush draw coming in. I think it's just a check call. Oh, nope. It checks. It plays the check 66% of the time, but the ideal action is only 33%, and which is betting, which really baffles me. I don't really quite understand. I really like his program, but some of the stuff the solver says is the best option really confuses me. I don't think we can fold yet. Just call. I think we just check. Maybe it wants us to block, but yeah, I don't think it ever does. And the 9 just gives up or just tries to see us to showdown. For the same reason I bet big on the last hand, I think I want to bet big, or bet big 2 hands ago. I think I want to bet big this hand as well. Just getting some ace highs to fold is certainly a good option, and if we do hit a heart, we can get a lot of pairs to fold as well, or even a lot, or even like it's like a 4, it's really nice because it's open-ended, or even giving us a gut shot because it's the opportunity to barrel again. So I think just betting big here is decent. Maybe because we have a lot of backdoor draws, it wants us to bet smaller since we're going to be able to double barrel super frequently, and maybe we want to reserve our 2/3 pot bet for the more, 1 barrel and over. Maybe that's what the solver's kind of going for, but these are the spots where I think if I bet small, I just make it too easy for our opponent to float. So I just want to put some pressure on our opponent with a big bet. That's what the solver likes to do. All right, that's the end of this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to check to see how well we did. Oh, we actually didn't do too bad. Negative 17 big blinds per 100. I did better out of position than I did in position. That is pretty cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.